We still got a minute. I'll wait for other people to kind of trickle in as they need to be. So,
Hey, Chuck, how are you?
sweet. Okay, this is the first time I've done one of these where you guys are on like Zoom and in the other office. There's nobody in the room with me right now, so I feel like I'm kind of talking by myself. Sorry. If you don't know me, my name's Carrie Ellis. I've been with Keller Williams for about 5 years now. So just pipe in if you have questions about anything or, you know, any of that stuff. So I kind of want to start out, has anybody had a buyer's consult? Are you working with buyers right now? Like what is the main thing that you guys are really struggling with?
Let's turn it up a little bit.
Can you not hear it? Do I need to talk louder? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So does anybody have anything like, are you working with buyers right now? Active buyers?
Yes, working with buyers.
Okay, okay. So the main thing to start off with is to really kind of get your presentation together because you want to have that professionalism, right? Not saying that you have to have a presentation, but it's good to bring something to hand to them to where they can keep a copy of their recap, a copy of, you know, their buyer's consult and all of that stuff in like a nice little folder. So when you guys meet, you can just give them the MLS sheets and they have that folder to kind of stick with them the whole time. So have you played around with Command's buyer's consultation in there yet?
No.
Okay, okay. So if you go into your Command, I've got mine pulled up here just to kind of show you guys where to get it at. In Designs over here, and then you're going to go to Print from there. And then this little plus button over here, that's going to be to create a design. Again, make sure Print is clicked on here, and then you hit Next. And this is going to, oh, hold on. It doesn't. Allow cookies, sorry. Okay, so there's a nice little thing, buyer, right here. And so when you click on it, it'll say buyer presentation, and there's 2 presentations you can choose from. We don't have to really go into all of that. I'll stand, let's see, I'm kind of out of the picture there, stand here. You can choose whichever one you like, really, and decide, you know, and kind of drag and drop, put your logo on it, whatever you want on it, to kind of really go through that. And so this will give you a nice presentation to bring into the buyer's consult. So once you get a buyer, you start talking to them. The main thing is to try and bring them into the office for a consult. And the reason why we do this is because if you're just on the phone, and you're going to get those buyers that are like, hey, meet me at this property. I'm, you know, hot buyers that are ready to go look at it right now. Those are usually the ones that aren't going to really, they'll just use you to get into the door. And unless you have a really good rapport with them and keep going with them, it's hard to keep them on track. And you're going to end up running around a lot and using a lot of your time and not really zeroing in on what they're looking for. So the idea is once you get them on the phone, set the appointment for them to meet in person, not at a property, preferably at the office, in one of the conference rooms, at a coffee shop, wherever you feel comfortable meeting them at, and then really kind of dive deep into what they're looking for. what their, are they hot and ready buyers now? Are they 3 months down the road? Are they 6 months down the road? These are things you kind of have to ask off the bat, because you don't want to be showing them property if they're not going to buy until, January of next year. In the market we're in right now, that just doesn't make any sense, especially with how fast property is moving. So get your buyer's presentation together, so when you get that buyer, you get the appointment, you can bring it with you. You're all prepared as far as, handing them something to where they have that grip kind of if you need to. Some people don't do it at all. So it really just depends on how you want to run your business. So getting the consult, once you get started with them, the first thing I really do is kind of go over law with the recad. I go ahead and recad them before we start talking about anything. Obviously there's some small talk involved in there. But then if they have the recad signed, you're compliant before they start telling you any information about anything else. And then find their time frame. And then a couple good questions. I usually will say, okay, what's the 10 top things you have to have either in a condo or a home? It really depends on, are they investment lookers? Are they personal home lookers? Are they looking for just a vacation home? You kind of need to narrow that down for them as well, what you're looking. So those are all kind of really good questions to ask right off the bat. And then once you narrow down their time frame, narrow down exactly, what type of property they're looking for, then you can kind of get into the nitty gritty and start asking them, well, what do you do? Do you like cooking? Do you like family coming over? Do you need open spaces? And just kind of open them up a little bit to talk to you a little bit about their personal life. It helps you get connected with them. It helps them realize, okay, this isn't just a cookie cutter 3-2, that's what I want. Some people will be, I'm very straightforward, this is what I want, and tell you. Some people you kind of have to coax it out of them a little bit. And a lot of times, once you get that, hey Carrie,
Hey,
how are you?
doing well.
Come sit.
Wherever you want to sit.
Wherever you want. So,
Sorry, I'm late.
no, you're fine. You know how to get to here, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're good then.
Okay.
And so, yeah, once you get into, talking to them about really what they want and what they're looking for in a home, then you can kind of start saying, okay, what is your top 10 must-haves? And I always do this with buyers and sellers. And if they have to email it to you or write it down later or vice versa, because sometimes they need to go home and talk about it. This helps, if it is a couple, them get on the same page. Because a lot of times you'll have someone who'll be like, I want an open floor plan. And then when you really go into the home and start looking at open floor plans, the husband doesn't want to be in the living room with the kitchen and her cooking and the whole 9 yards, or him cooking and her watching TV, whatever. And so you really want them to start thinking outside the box. And if they're together writing down those top 10, they can really start thinking about what they want. And that narrows it down and helps you help them find the right property as well. So top 10 must-haves, things that are, top 5, if we had it, it'd be nice, but we don't have to have it kind of things. And then I usually will say 10 absolutely not, like deal killers. We will not buy a property on a main road, or we will not, I will not buy a property without an elevator if it's a condo, things like that, because that helps you rule out a lot of properties. And it'll save you some time too, if you know that they just don't want a condo that's not concrete or something like that. And you can bring those up depending on the type of property they're looking for, really. So, so once you get them into the buyer's consult, sit them down for that. Give them whatever presentation you choose, whether it be one of these or you create one yourself, and then start asking them those questions. The next step is to really, I always just pull up MLS and start saying, okay, once we get through this, let's start looking at a couple properties. And so I'll narrow it down based on what they tell me as far as, the top 10 things and their price range. And I don't really go too much into the finances at this point. We start kind of saying, okay, what are you comfortable with as far as payments go? And then we'll pull up just a generic list of properties in that price range. And then once they start saying, okay, here's where we're at, if they're hot and ready buyers and want to go look at property right away, I will go ahead and have them connect with 3 to 4 lenders. I ask, hey, do you guys have a lender you're working with already? If not, I can connect you with them and we can go ahead and get that process started. Good thing about working for KW is Keller Mortgage is on your app. You can email or text that app to them, right over them, and they can start the process before you even get in the car to go show property and see if they're pre-approved. A lot of lenders nowadays will do, a couple hour pre-approvals as well, depending on if you connect with them and get a good rapport with that lender. So, oh, you're fine. And so pull up a couple properties, start narrowing it down, asking them questions. Hey, do you like a big yard? Do you like, kitchens, baths? Do you want to be close to your work? Things like that. If so, you can really kind of narrow it down from the time frame and their commute time and all of that. And then just getting them connected with a lender is the next step, really. I have a little sheet that I like to go over with somebody as well. Once we get them connected with the lender, we go through that whole process. Depending on if this is their first time buyer's home, if they've bought several properties, or if they're an investor, this is kind of where you have to narrow it down. If it's their first time ever buying a home, I go through the entire process with them from start to finish. I've got a little timeline sheet that I give them, and it basically says, okay, meeting with me, and then the next step is getting pre-approved, and the next step is searching for property, and then once you search for property, I go into, here's the financials behind it. You're going to have to pay, $500 for an inspection. You're going to have to pay $500 for an appraisal, roughly. I go over earnest money with them right then and there. You want to set a precedent so they know they're going to have to put earnest money down on the property when they make an offer on it. So you go over that with them. And so they get a time frame in their head like, okay, I need to have at least $2,000 before I even go to the closing table. And if they aren't able to do that, that may be a kicker for you guys to be like, okay, they're not ready yet, in order to move forward. And so once you go through that, go over the earnest money, go over appraisal with them. I'm trying to think of everything, sorry. I talk about termite damage and termite stuff with them. And then lastly, I really go into, okay, if it's a single family home and that's what they're wanting, you really need to find out from them, do they want a fixer-upper? What their idea of a fixer-upper is. Some people think, painting is a fixer-upper. Some people think they can come in and do all new floors, granite, and all of that, and they're comfortable with that. So when you say, are you looking for something that's brand new, move-in ready, or are you looking for something that you have to do a little bit of maintenance or fixing up to? And then elaborate on that. Because if you bring somebody into a home that just needs paint and they don't want to touch it, they want to just walk in, they're going to be disgusted by the fact that, the walls are scuffed up and they need paint, and you kind of lose interest with them there. Some people don't, but you really want to, have this conversation before you get them in the car, before you get them into the house, so they really know you're working for their best interest and can start to trust you that you are going to bring them into a place that they really want, and that you're not just showing them whatever's out there. So that's kind of most of it. I mean, once you get into that, at that point, again, just going over the MLS with them, showing them properties, and then set up your next appointment that day. Don't say, I'll call you later. Don't say, hey, if they're hot and ready to buy, get them pre-approved that day, and then set up, okay, when can we meet to go look at property? In an hour, in 2 hours, however you need to set it up with your time frame, but always close them with the next appointment, the next time you're going to follow up, the next this, before you leave their presence. Because that really puts them on the spot to make that decision, hey, we're serious, we really want to move forward with this. So, and that's kind of sets the precedence, makes you look professional, makes it seem like your time is valuable just like theirs. Another good kind of speech that I put out there is when I'm going over stuff with them, like the buyer's consult, or buyer's agency, sorry. If you're, kind of on the fence about it, I'll usually tell them, hey, it's like a marriage. I want to work the best way I can for you. If you guys agree to work solely with me, we're going to marriage on this, we're going to collaborate, we're going to make this easy for everybody, if you choose to. The other option is to just use me as a transaction, and I usually say pretty much just pushing papers for you. So if you want to run the show and you wanted me to just open doors for you and not really give you too much insight about neighborhoods and things like that, then I can certainly do that as well. But if you want me to really be working for you and able to, you know, look out for every interest and every aspect, then we need to go ahead and have a buyer's agency agreement together. So, I try and go over that in the buyer's consult as far as the agency. Sometimes you can't. I mean, you know, some of my best deals have been 7 o'clock phone calls on phone duty, and they're like, hey, I want to see this property now. And they get in it and they write an offer that night, and I don't have any consult, I don't have anything. It happens. So you have to kind of play it by ear, but for most of the time, I would really suggest bringing them into the office in a meeting and sitting down with them. Because if you don't, you're going to show them like 30 properties, and I'm telling you, you're going to be pulling your hair out, and they're going to be like, well, we didn't want any of these. Well, yeah, because I'm not showing you anything you want, because you don't know what they want. They're just pulling up properties, sending them to you, and you're basically just opening the door for them. It's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and help you really establish how people need to treat you,
There you go.
as well as you treating them. Because you have to establish ground rules early on. Otherwise, you're going to be, running 24/7. So, I know it's only like 10:15, but
Question.
yes.
Okay. Do you talk about them and what they already have in mind to offer when they do come across a home that they really like? Do you go over those types of things just so you'll have it in your mind when you do get ready to write the offer?
So, are you talking about like price points?
Price points, what they expect out of a home from the seller, that type of thing?
I do.
Home warranty.
Home warranties
those
and
types
stuff.
of things.
Yeah, you definitely want to go over, you know, okay, once we get to the writing of the offer process, I will usually pull up the statistics in MLS at that point and say for the area you're looking at, say Foley right now is selling at pretty much 99 to 101% of list price. So if you're going to make an offer in the Foley area on a residential home, expect to pay pretty close to what they're listing at, and setting that precedence ahead of time allows that buyer to go into the home and understand if we're going to kind of lowball them, then we can't ask for, we can, but you're more than likely not going to get the contract executed if that's the case. If they need closing costs paid for, or if they want a home warranty, or if they're gonna nitpick the property, that goes into a fixer-upper. And so I'll kind of roll it all in together, like, okay, if you want something that's, you know, perfect and new build looking, then you can't go into a 1970s home and expect to have everything perfect. And I will say that to somebody, because they expect everything to be perfect. And I'm like, when we go through that inspection process, there's going to be things that are not going to be perfect in an older home. What we're looking for is major structural and major appliance issues. So your roof, your hot water heater, your air conditioner, things like that. We're not looking for a pinhole in the wall, or, you know, a little nick in the tile or things like that. Yes, those things are there, but if you're going to want those things repaired, then expect to pay close to asking price or vice versa right now in the market we're in. It's a little different when we're in a buyer's market. They can kind of pick and choose and really be picky like that. But right now, I mean, no, people aren't going to go for it. So, yeah, that's a good question, Carrie. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I don't know the new guy.
I don't know.
He came in under Andrew.
Did he? Okay. So yeah, that's a good one, the inspection. Working with new builds, if you got a buyer who really wants a new build, just to give you guys some insight on that, they're going to pay list price, but you can ask for things. So don't be shy to ask for fences, blinds, obviously, you know, they offer incentives for closing costs and things like that, but no, you can negotiate crown molding, all of that stuff extra on top of it when you write the contract. And so a lot of times the new builder agents will say, oh, I'll write it up for you. They do, which is fine, but you need to just voice that, look, we're gonna ask for, you know, blinds in the entire house is what we want extra, or we want a fence extra, or we want an upgraded refrigerator. You're paying full price for that property. Don't be scared to ask for things for that buyer. Because you are working for them and you want them to get the best deal possible. So I've had this come up a lot in like the negotiation process where an agent called me yesterday and was like, hey, you know, we're kind of worried because she's lost out on a couple homes asking for closing costs. And I said, well, you have to prepare that buyer. If they need closing costs, then in the market we're in right now, you're probably going to pay pretty close to list price. If not, you know, 2 to 3% less, if that even. If they don't need closing costs, then you can negotiate the price a little bit more. So, Am I talking too fast?
No.
Okay.
I have another question.
Good, good. Yes, this helps. Thank you.
You're welcome. Whenever the people are looking for, I would consider someone that has bought a lot with us, let's say, and they're looking to do the new construction. Do we just have a list of vendors that we just give them for constructing their home?
You can, if you have, if you connect with contractors, then you can certainly give them a list of contractors in the area or architects in the area that work with these contractors to help them do that.
Okay.
That's definitely going above and beyond. By the time they get to the point of the lot, they should already have that, you know, in mind as far as who they're wanting to use to build and stuff. Because a lot of times it will be either some type of bridge loan or something to where they're buying the lot first, but the contractor's already involved. And if they're getting a loan on it, they already have to have that contractor involved, plans drawn up, and all that stuff, unless they're, you know, paying cash for it and just planning on sitting on it. So.
I had a guy wanted to buy a cash lot, and I was like, I'm not sure where to go after this once we connected with that to go ahead and go forward with. Do you have a construction company in mind, an architect in mind, that type of thing, just to help him with the transaction of all of it?
It's a good thing. So the more vendors you connect with now, the better. Go ahead and get a big list of lenders, get a big list of home inspectors, get a list of, you know, handymen. When someone goes under contract with me, we automatically email them my vendors list. So I've created just a PDF flyer that basically has my team's info on it with all of our approved vendors and people we've worked with before, licensed plumbers, lawn contractors, roofers, you name it, fencers, whatever they need, and they get a whole list of that at that time. And so you can really show your value and give them information to where it helps them further down the road. So, yep, that's good. So the main thing is just kind of stay calm, you know, fill them out, mirror match. If someone's really nervous or if they're talking fast, talk a little faster. If someone's not and they're slower, talk a little slower, you know, and just the big thing with that is to mirror match them. I've lost, I don't know how many clients just from being nervous and talking too fast, and they're older clients and they're like, I can't even understand you, honey, you need to just walk away. So I really have to learn how to slow myself down. And if you're like me, that's, I mean, you wouldn't think about it like that too much. You think just communication's communication, but body language and tone and how fast or slow you're talking makes a difference. I don't know if you guys had, I'm a fast talker, so if someone is really slow, it actually annoys me. Like, it bothers me, and I really have to work on going slower with people. So, do you have any questions so far? No? Did it, like, I know this is really short. I didn't really, like, we can go into doing this again, and, like, let's see what this has. I mean, I can email you guys the ones that I use. And it kind of has on there, you know, I've got a back page where they write down best way to communicate. Do they like text? Do they like email, phone calls, time frames to communicate with them? And then I get all of their information at that point, whatever email they want property sent to, phone numbers, how they spell their legal name. That's a big deal, because when you write the contract at 7 o'clock at night to send it over to them, you don't want to be calling them or texting them, how do you spell your name again? You know what I mean? That just is a little unprofessional. So make sure you've got all of that info ahead of time.
I would love for you to email us that you have, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. Like I said, it's branded to me, but you can upload it in Google Drive and just delete my brand and use it if you want. As far as all that stuff, I don't care. I've been using it for years. It's only like 4 or 5 pages because I don't really like big packets to have to print out. When I first started out, I was doing it through the old KW, and it was like 20 pages, and you can put their name on it and all this fancy stuff, and I was trying to do it that way, and it got to the point where I needed something that's already in a folder, unbranded, I don't have to think about it, already there, I can just hand it, and it's very generic, and everybody gets the same thing. It looks nice to have it, all that, but it's not worth it, yeah. So, okay. So you can change all of this stuff, however you want it to look. You can move words around and stuff. This goes into, you know, you can talk to them about neighborhoods and set them up with Keller Mortgage, how the home buying process works with financing. And then, see, this is branded to them, like a client name. I'm like, that's just, who has time to do that? I mean, if you got the time, great, but I mean, unless you're working with luxury clients and they really need to see their name on something, I don't really see a point in it. Now, a listing, that might be different because you do take the time to kind of, you know, prepare it for them. So this kind of goes over table of contents, dream home preferences, neighborhoods that they like. Just a lot of fluff, in my opinion. If you like it, go for it. If not, you can, you know, delete pages or whatever you want. Talks about your app. It's a good way to, once you go into kind of what they're looking for, go ahead and text them your app and say, hey, start using this. I know, explain to them how Zillow works. Explain to them if they find a for sale by owner, call you first. Don't try and call the for sale by owner, because you can negotiate with for sale by owners. You can negotiate with builders. You can negotiate with everybody. So a lot of times they think you can only work with your KW listings or your, so you need to take that mindset that they have on what you're capable of doing out of the window and let them know you can work with everybody. And so if you tell them ahead of time, if they see a for sale by owner, and teach them to call you first and give you the number, then that'll allow you to connect with that for sale by owner, call them, set up the appointment, make sure that they're comfortable with a one-time show and sell, which is basically just bringing them a document that states that they will pay you 2.5%, 3%, whatever the seller agrees to bring them a buyer. And that allows you to make sure you're getting paid, you're representing the buyer to the best of your ability, and you're giving them the option to drive around and look at property, because who doesn't want to do that? You know, I mean, they're excited, they're going to be driving around, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning when you're doing other stuff, and if they find a for sale by owner, I've had this happen, they knock on the door, they fall in love with it, they make a handshake deal and go forward with it, and they didn't know to call you. So, yeah. Their builders, your home wish list. This kind of goes into, you know, again, what we talked about earlier, who's going to be living in the home? Is there a bunch of children? Do they care about HOAs? That's a big one. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they have a 30-foot boat they want to put in their front yard and the HOA's there, and you sell them a house and they can't put their 30-foot boat, you're going to be in trouble, because that's on us. Whether we have a buyer's agency with them or not, they're going to come looking back at us. Same thing with down here on the beach with special assessments for condos. You know, if they buy a condo and find out there's a $5,000 special assessment due next month, these are things we have to really take into account and let them know ahead of time so they're not getting themselves into that situation. So, more wish list stuff. More wish list. Wow, they've got a lot of wish lists. Get to know neighborhoods, map your move. Neighborhood insights are nice. They're not working that great right now, so I wouldn't go too much into that. I do go over the financing process with people if it's their first time buying a home, as far as the steps of financing, getting pre-approved, then the inspection, then the appraisal, and then, you know, underwriting. And the way I explain it to them, and this may be not your way, you probably want to be more professional, but I'm usually like, they want to know everything, including the color underwear you're wearing. So just expect to give it to them multiple times on multiple different days. Sometimes they're going to ask for the same document from you 2 or 3 times in a week. Don't ask questions, just give it to them. The faster you do that, the smoother this process will be through the banker, and we can move forward and get you the home you want. Because, I mean, if they drag their feet for 10 days before they get them the document, and then come closing time, we have to extend closing for 20 days because underwriting didn't get what they wanted, that's an issue. So if you address it now, it puts it in their head, okay, I need to be very fast with getting these over to the lender, making this a smooth process. It is all working together for the same goal. So, yeah. Home loans made simple. I mean, you can do like, you know, you can do if you want to do stats for somebody and you know they're interviewing with several different buyer's agents and you want to say, you know, here's my stats, I get, you know, such and such off for these homes more so than anybody else. You can use the office stats.
That's what I was gonna say.
For that,
That's
because there's a lot of agents that have been here for a while and you can just use their office stats. You don't have to use yours. What they don't know, you don't know, they don't know.
Right.
Until you tell them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's true. That's the hardest part of filling
Yeah,
it
it's
out.
getting over that kind of drunk monkey feeling like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but you do. I mean, you're licensed, you went to school, you know what you're doing. So, yeah. Competitive advantage, kind of talking about numbers again, you know, 80% higher average than, I can't even read that. Jeez, that's small. I'm getting old. What does that say? Higher on average than market from contract to closing. Does that make sense? I would change that because that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's hard for them to understand. It's really talking about the adjusted rate whenever other people sell, they might not get the market value. I mean, the actual asking price, and they've done better at getting the closest to the asking price.
Yeah, so your closed sales
Numbers.
volume, it is numbers. You can use the KW numbers if you want.
Yeah.
If you have a really analytical person, RPR is amazing for this. I had somebody who was really wanting school numbers. She's like, I'm not moving down here. We moved last time with a realtor that was horrible. I got into a bad school. I'm not happy with it. So we want to move to the area, but I need to know what the schools are doing, demographics, what the families in the area do. RPR can actually give you like a 60-page neighborhood report on schools alone.
Wow, I didn't know that.
With, you know, the demographics of the school, what their numbers are, what their grade rates are, what percentage of teachers have a master's degree, yeah,
Wow.
you can get a lot. If you have somebody like an engineer or somebody that's really analytical, you can really dive deep into that through RPR and send them that stuff with the actual property. So,
Everybody knows what RPR is.
yeah, you guys know what RPR is?
Yes.
I got one shaking head. Okay. If not, speak up or forever hold your peace. Because, yeah, I can have Jen email it if not.
I do not know what an RPR is.
You do or don't?
I don't.
Okay. So, Realtor Property Resource.
There you go.
You should have this when you signed up with Jen. She gives you all of this. If not, let's go to the website and I'll show it to you.
And it's on the wall.
It may not come up. This I know there's a different website for it. Let's see if this comes up with something.
And if you look on the MLS, when you're looking at a property, it'll pull up, it's actually.
It's probably because it's on incognito, so it doesn't hold anything. I bet you they've got RPR up here somewhere. Maybe not. On mine, I usually just type in RPR. Okay. I'll have to get the website for you. I don't know it off the top of my head. I have it as a tag on my system. But it's Realtors Property Resource. You have to have your login credentials, which you need your national, your NAR number, basically. And then once you have that, you can create a password for yourself, log in. It can do property research for specific property, even if it's not on the market. A lot of times you can get like how much they paid for the home if it's not an MLS or connected to CRS and finding it that way. Or you can go on there, like I said, and research the property that is on MLS that they like. A lot of times it'll show historical photos. So if it's a new property that, they've done some updates to and you want to find out why they're pricing it the way they are, sometimes you can go in there and it'll show, hey, it didn't have granite 2 years ago and someone came in and put granite, because it'll show you historical photos on it. I'll have Jenna email you guys the website when we get done with this class, so everybody has that to use. Great source, play around with it, you can't break it. So whatever you want to type in there and play with, you can.
Can I say something about the schools, back on the schools? One thing that I learned a long time ago is if you love a neighborhood but you don't like the school, you can file with the district a transportation, it's called a transportation, come on, brain. A transportation voucher that says, I work over here around this school, just saying. I work around this school, I live around this school, but I want my children to go to the school I work around. So there's some things that you can do that if your buyer wants a specific school district, you can kind of maneuver it to get those children in that school. So just be aware of that.
I would go one step further if you're going to tell somebody that and put it in the contract that they have to have approval to be able to send their kids to that school before they close on the property.
That's good.
Because if you put that as a contingency, just know you can put anything you want as a contingency. The seller doesn't have to accept it, but you can.
That's good.
And so if you're going to do that just to protect your buyer, I would. Yeah, as far as that goes. Do you guys have any other questions? No, it feels like I ran through all that really fast. I was trying not to, but.
That's okay, we kind of like that.
I mean, it's real simple. The main key points is just getting them into the office, sitting down, finding out, what they want, going through the entire step-by-step process of buying the home with them so they're not scared about any step. They're prepared in their mind, okay, after this step, this one's next, after this one's next.
If you have a buyer that is a year out, how often do you contact them? Usually, roundabout.
38 times a year. So they just changed it. It used to be a 36 touch. I think now it's either a 38 or 42 touch. How many times you actually have to touch somebody in order to stay top of their mind for them to know to use you when they're ready to buy. And so I think it's 38 to 42 touches a year. So that can be Christmas cards, that can be text messages through Twilio in command, phone calls. If they're a year out, I'll probably only call them quarterly and then text them or email them property, once a month or so, or even if they like looking at property, even weekly, you can send them property. You can set buyers up on drips through BCAR, right? Everybody knows how to do that?
Mhm.
No?
No.
Okay. So when you log into your Paragon and VCAR, we can do that. I think I can do that. I don't know if I have my login, guys. Carrie, do you know yours?
I can look it up on my phone real quick.
Okay. I am horrible at knowing logins, guys, so bear with me on this. So we're gonna let Carrie use hers, and I'll show you how to go through and put somebody on. So you can do neighborhood nurtures through command. I'm sure you've learned how to do that. It's pretty simple, just choosing the neighborhood. And then on smart plans, you just choose neighborhood nurture. And once a month, they'll get a nice little email. I suggest
Love
setting
that.
yourself up on one. Go ahead and choose a couple neighborhoods that you want to know information about and have command email it to you, so you know what your clients are using as well. Do you want to come type it in instead of telling me stuff?
Let me see if I can get it first.
Okay. That's okay.
Hey, you know what? I do have it because I've got it. in software. I don't know how to do this, Terry.
What?
Set it up in my,
Oh, through VCAR?
through B card. Yeah,
Mhm.
I always do it through command.
So it's good through command, but until our technology is where it needs to be, I don't want you guys missing out on anything. And I'm the first person to tell you that technology is not what you should lean on. But if you have several different routes of sending them properties, the likelihood of them finding the right one, no matter which route it's coming to them, is better if you try several different times. So you can use command neighborhood nurture and then set this up on like maybe the 15th. Maybe they get a neighborhood nurture on the 1st of the month and they get a VCAR listing search on the 15th of every month. And that's 2 touches a month. You're still connecting with that person through different routes that shows value for yourself and for them to be able to use you, that you are the expert in that field. So. It's okay.
I'm like,
I don't know it
keep
at all.
of
If
my-
it's not pre-programmed in, I'm not gonna remember it, period.
There's too many numbers to remember, dadgummit.
Yeah.
And I know it's because I'm trying so hard. Oh, here it is. Yay.
Okay. Here, I'll turn this around for you. Bear with us, sorry guys.
It's okay. I'm just glad I'm not the only one.
It only gets worse the more logins you have to remember.
Oh my gosh, right?
So,
Okay.
I'm gonna reiterate this because you guys need to hear it. I'm sure you do with Keller Williams. We don't go after buyers, we go after listings and the buyers come to us. So if you are not already doing this, you need to be doing this. Buyers will run you ragged. You will make twice as much money if you go after listings and then just wait for your phone to ring on the buyers calling about your listing. If they don't like that property, then you can take them to something else. But if you focus on listings, you're gonna be in this business a lot longer than focusing on buyers, unless you're on a team and you get buyers that way. That's a completely different ballgame there, so.
Keep talking. I thought I had it from, maybe it's under Baldwin.
I usually have to just type VCAR.
I had it already.
Hold on, let me go
programmed
grab
into my
mine.
phone. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Talking about emailing, but I would like to know how to trickle it without having to go in there constantly and email them homes I found. There's a quicker way to do that, because you can email specific listings directly to you. But I want to know how it'll trigger. Sound it, guys.
Okay, thank you guys for being patient.
Now I'm just wondering where mine is. I'll have to find it anyway. Oh, here it is, MLS login.
As soon as I got mine, you got yours.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Always.
Well, and the problem is that I'm so bad, I actually have, for all of my real estate logins, the same password up until about a month ago, and B-Card made me change it.
Made us change it,
And
yeah.
I was like, "Argh." So now I don't remember anything, and it's not gonna work, of course.
I didn't find mine if it, yours.
No.
Here.
Is that your username?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, y'all, don't look.
It won't show the password.
There. Is it the system?
Might be. Let me see.
Pop-up blocker or some junk?
Shouldn't be.
Common?
By the time the class is over, we'll get it. I promise.
Right.
Is that Tracy out here talking over there?
Carrie,
I don't know where Tracy is. Or Stacy. I think she's.
I don't know.
And I know that's mine.
Yeah, it's definitely mine. I just looked it up. Okay, log in. I'm gonna try and do this by memory.
Okay.
Go ahead and log in.
Okay.
And then you can go to, on the top, it'll say searches.
Mhm.
You know what? Let me just
Quick
grab my
search.
computer. And then I can talk you guys through
There
it.
you
while I
go. There you go. I'll grab mine too.
do it.
Oh. Should have just did.
I know, right?
We should've
Just
just did
did this in the first
We're
place.
you were trying to show
I'm trying to be good. Okay. V-Car. Log in.
everybody log into your B card.
Yeah, go into V-Car. This is true for PAR as well if you're licensed in both. I don't know, it logged me in right away with that.
Mine too.
So
Weird. Must be the something here.
I can't get V-Car on there, I don't know. Okay, so there's a contacts at the top.
Yes.
Keep-
Contacts. at the
Go into
top.
contact, add contact. What you wanna do? I don't add all the information. The only thing I'll put is like a first name, last name, and then email address. There's no reason to fill out all of that.
Oh my gosh, look at
I
that.
tried it like 4 times on mine, and I know it's the right password, Jen, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. Sounds like two. Okay, so that is, it doesn't even look like it's thinking.
It doesn't do anything. That's why I was like,
Oh,
I'll just
wait,
grab this.
wait.
Oh,
Of course it worked for her.
Of
Okay,
course.
mine's gonna be a little bit different than yours, like, I hope you're not looking at following realtor documents, because I don't.
No,
No.
I'm just trying to show them how to do a drip
Perfect.
for property.
Look, she made hers cute.
So, the beach, yeah, mine's on the beach too. Okay, so if you go into contacts here at the top, add contact. Put a name in, we'll just put my name in for safekeepings. Email address. And you can put multiple, so you can have primary email where it sends that first, and then a secondary email. There's a spouse secondary name and email. So if you want to send it to the spouse and, or the, yeah, both parties, whoever you want to use, you can do that. That is caps. Whatever, it'll be fine. So once you do this, hit save. And then you can have buyer activity over here. There's a contact information. I don't fill anything else out. I just go to buyer activity, hit add search, add a new search. And then here's where you start searching just like you would for any other property.
Do that one more time.
So hit buyer activity, add search, add new search, and then if you want lots and land, multifamily, lease, whatever, residential, single family, you'll have to set up a different search. So if you're looking for lots and land or residential, or vice versa, you'll have to have one for residential and one for lots and land.
Okay.
So you can't combine them on here like you can when you're searching on your own. Only gonna search for this. And then type the criteria. 32, we'll say between 250 to 3,000. These are 350. Let's say they want a pool. So, condos. We'll say Gulf Shores. Wherever they want to be. They want acreage. She's got it set up. I've got a little thing on here. Mine's set up a little differently. You know, you can change it to where criteria pops up that automatically pops on yours that may not pop on others. So there's a customize button at the top. If you are always searching for features or pools or things like that, you can add that customize button, save it as your regular search, and it'll have that window so you're not having to constantly go back and look for it. So on this, public remarks, we'll just say in public remarks a pool. There's 26 homes between that range with a public remark with a pool in Gulf Shores right now. So once you hit click, look through it, make sure these homes are the criteria that you're wanting. Go ahead and choose all of them and hit save search. Name your search, pool homes for such and such, or whatever, because it's going to email them and it'll say your pool home search, you know, whatever's there. So, say pool homes in Gulf Shores. Oh, that's true. Okay, so if that happens, there's a conflict. You have to go back to criteria up here. And you can't do coming soon. It will not allow you to email them coming soon properties as an automatic. You can email them if you search yourself and manually email it to them, but when you're setting them up for a drip, for some reason it won't allow you to do coming soon properties. So click save, and then you can go back to search and try all that again. Save search. Save.
Did you tell us what web page that was on?
Yeah, this is your Paragon.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, so this is actually, when you go into your MLS to do your searches, this is where you find it in contacts. You can add a contact. And so here's where you can choose how it's sending to them. By this, you can send them a welcome message to start them off and say, hey, welcome to your collab for buyers. I'm going to send you this on the 15th of every month. These are all the pool homes that hit once a month or every 2 weeks or vice versa. Contact me for more information on any of these properties or whatever you want to say. So once you do that, hit next, and it's going to ask you how often. Let's see, manually add listings. Nope, that's not what we want. This is, okay, Jen's is not right. It'll ask you the time and the date you want to send this every month. If you want it bi-weekly, if you want it weekly, if you want to send it to them at 6 a.m. or 3 a.m. on a Monday, you can choose all of that in here. So if you know someone who's a night owl, going to be on their computer at night, send it to them at midnight. And they'll think you're working at midnight. Real hard for them, sending them properties.
Right.
So, but it'll ask you a time. Just go through that. You're not going to mess it up. Try it out on yourself first. But you're not going to mess it up by clicking and choosing times or whatever. Just hit save, hit send, save again, and then it'll usually take you through that process of it. So, okay, does anybody have any questions on that? And that sets them up on a drip. It's more accurate than our KW. And I don't like saying that, but I'm being completely honest
Yeah,
with
it's
you
still a
guys.
work in progress.
Until our system is working really well, I don't want you losing out on a property that hits day of, especially in the market we're in right now, and them not seeing it because they're only on our KW and not on here. So, does it work? Does it show you the times on yours, Carrie?
It does, it is.
Okay,
I'm
so
really amazed by it. I
so
wish
you can, set up a time on it, and it automatically, and it'll send you a reverse prospect thing too. So when a property hits that meets your buyer's criteria, if the agent chooses reverse prospecting on their listing, when they click it and add it to MLS, you'll get an email saying a property just hit the market that fits your such and such criteria. Do you want to take a look at it? And so you can automatically get those emails as well from there. There's a Collab Center link for you guys that you can go into here. You can actually see if the buyer's looking at properties. They have an option to reject, to like it, or to just make no comment on it. Very similar to what Keller Williams offers as well. It's just a little more accurate because it'll be the properties that are actually hitting that thing. So. Once you get them saved in there, there's a view manage contacts. And you can, go into that, manage them. If they bought a house, you can take them off. Remember to take them off after they buy from you. Or after you go under contract, take them off. God forbid you do not want to send them a better home than what they're under contract for. It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good. Just take my advice on that one. I don't know if you can see this. I've got several. There's matches, changed, undecided, favorites, possibles, rejected.
Stop. Nice.
You can view the ones that are sending to them. If they have one they like, you can actually click on it and view it. So these are all people I've got.
People.
Yes.
Game changer.
Yeah. Hopefully it works. date added, it tells you the last time they accessed it and looked at property, right here.
Wow,
Last time you notified them about property,
I'm glad we went here.
so yeah.
Good. There's something like that they want specific, like a 3-car garage. Is there a place in here in search that I can put that specific?
Absolutely.
Specificity?
Specificity.
Specificity?
Yes. So see this little customize button right here?
Hello. So criteria.
Customize fields. Number of garage spaces. Hello.
Is the customer.
Click. Go home.
Okay.
Search residential. Where you may have there. Okay. Number of garage spaces. Number of fireplaces. You can add it. You can choose to apply and save as. You can choose to apply and save, meaning that it will always come up with that. So that's what she's talking about. What we're talking about right here is how you can customize this. I always have, with residential homes, I get a lot of people that are like, I want a half-acre lot. I hated always having to change my MLS
yeah.
to where I had to go back, find acreage. So I added acreage, add it to their primary, and apply and save.
Ooh, apply to a contact.
You can apply to a contact, apply and save as, however you want to do it. I hit applies and saves, so now it's always on there. I always have an acreage custom button on my search criteria and don't have to add it each time. So if you're working with a certain type of demographic and you always need something, this is how you fix it.
Okay.
I know we got off subject with buyers, but hopefully this helps.
It still helps, yeah.
Okay, we are over 11:01. Does anybody have any quick questions before we're done? And hopefully this was helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Welcome. I guess I'll get with Jen, everybody that logged on, to get you guys' emails to send that my buyer consult thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys, I'm gonna write myself a sticky and put it on my head.
Also, if you have a seller's one that you don't mind sharing, that would be great as we compile our own.
I do. Yep.
Listing.
Command has a listing presentation in it as well. That, I mean, you can really dive deep into that and take pages out, put pages in. It may be easier to just kind of pick and choose what you want from mine and put it in there, or vice versa.
Okay.
Because mine you're gonna have to like upload into Google Drive and do some really funky erasing to get some stuff off of it.
So does everybody know about 66-day challenge
Oh, on Facebook?
on YouTube? 66-day challenge for command? Since they're very new. or there's some-
I have no idea.
So,
Yeah.
so if you go on YouTube, just my opinion, it's really easy. The 66-day challenge on command really walks you step by step through on how to do it on command. So look up, what's his name?
Marty Miller.
Marty Miller.
And Marty Miller does, there's a 66-day challenge 1, 66-day challenge 2, 66-day challenge, I think there's a 3
Up to
now.
4. It's
Up to 4, and it goes into 66 days command in a 5-minute session, learning 5 minutes of how to do one thing in command. Take 5 minutes out of your day for each time, or you can do more if you want, and learn how to do everything there is to know in command from there.